thank you so much for being part of our show. It's such an honor to talk with you and get to know you. You're a native Canadian.
I am. Yeah, I was raised in Gatineau, Quebec, Elmer,
Wow.
Quebec, but worked for years in Montreal and Toronto.
So how does a young girl from Quebec, get to be an actress? Tell me a little bit about the journey that you've had.
I mean, I was doing sort of musical theater as a child, in Ottawa, and I really liked it. And then I had some really like divine opportunities along the road. And I started out also modeling at 13. I got scouted because I was tall and skinny, like it was a thing back in the old day. And then I just started really liking acting. And so I ended up moving to Montreal, and I got to do a small part in a Denis Arcand film, which was amazing. And then, doing some TV shows. And then I just ended up moving to Toronto because I got a series there. And one thing after another, I got lucky.
Well, but luck mixed with hard work is, has a good outcome. I mean, I think a lot of young women who go into modeling don't realize how hard work that is.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't eat for 2 decades. That's very hard. I don't enjoy that part.
Were they really hard on your weight, or was it you that was hard on you?
I mean, that was a long time ago. I think things luckily have changed, but yes, I mean, that was the waif era, and so we were all like a -0.
Can't be healthy. Your energy levels must have been nothing.
I was luckily, very active. I think I was hyperactive as a child, so I got away with it for a while. But yeah, now I really quite enjoy a sandwich or pasta.
Yeah, I always have pasta sandwiches, which are really good. Lots of carbs.
Lots of carbs. I dig carbs.
Are you a good cook?
You know what? Since COVID, I have really started. I was a terrible cook because I didn't eat, but now I have 2 children and a husband who really quite enjoys food. And during COVID, we were sort of on lockdown, so I kind of learned to do some new things and bake. I'm not terribly good at baking. It never looks good, but it tastes good. It never looks like a pretty cake. You know what I mean? I don't understand still how they get it, but it tastes really good.
We're Italian, so we cook. Every one of my kids cooks, and they do so we take turns during the lockdown to prepare meals. So,
do you? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun actually for us.
Yeah, the cooking. Well, it was mostly on me, honestly, because there's someone else who lives here who's an adult who's not quite safe in the kitchen. It's always a little like, oh, thank you so much for making dinner.
Gratitude goes a long way.
Yeah.
You did a lot of commercials when you were younger. Tell me about that part of your life too. You did Dentine Ice.
Yes, I did. I did Noxzema.
Yeah.
Which was on for a very long time. It was quite fun, and people would always, say, and that's when he dumped me whenever I walked down the street in Toronto. So that was fun. I did a lot. I did a Bell commercial. I did a lot of, funny enough, I did a legs commercial. I can't even remember, but it was my legs and my voice. I can't remember. It was for some shoe company. I've done things like that, but
it's amazing to me that, when you start out, you do a lot of stuff gratis. You do a lot of free stuff just to kind of get your name out there and all that. But when you get that first paycheck for what you love doing, that's got to be just sheer joy.
Oh, yeah, it is. And I think for me, I really started so young that I didn't have another way of earning an income. So it was more than just sheer joy. It was thank the Lord. Well, I can pay rent,
And jumping from modeling to acting, I mean, I always consider, because I do interview. I've done this for 50 years. I think modeling can get a very, very creepy. It's kind of a profession where you've got to not only have the looks, but you've got to have the brains to navigate through that industry, because there's a lot of weirdness going on.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I don't think I'd let my daughter do it. People have asked my daughter, and she's just turned 8 last week, to model, and she's like a tweenager at 8 years old, like a full tween. And I really don't want her to yet. Like, I just think it's complicated. I had a really good mom and a really good dad, and my dad was adamant that I had my academics up to standard, and it was all in sciences and all in math, and everything after school I could do whatever I wanted as long as I had straight A's.
So you're a brain.
I did really well in school, believe it or not. I know it shocks people, but I was very good at math. I was in the gifted math and science program. And then modeling to make money on the side, which was odd. I mean, I was in New York at 15. And then I turned 17 on the plane to Tokyo by myself, and then Paris at 17. Tokyo, people were very strict and really like, it's different than Paris. Paris was tough at 17. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there were a lot of dodging, creepy older men, and I'm lucky that I had parents who really forced me to understand the outcomes that could happen by making wrong choices, and I steered clear of drugs the entire time. And that back then, that was a big problem in the industry because we weren't allowed to eat. And my mom, my Paris story was very strange. My mom, they tried to tell me I needed to get a surgery, which was very strange. And they said my mom approved that surgery. And I was like, my mom approved plastic surgery? I was like, that's so strange that she wouldn't have told me that. And then my mom said, you're getting on the plane tomorrow. And I went home because I don't even know what would have happened there, but it was creepy as all hell, like a 17-year-old going to have her bottom rib removed.
And in you knowing other models, I mean, that's not a unique story at all.
And, a very important client at dinner. That's when you know it's not a very important client.
Exactly. Your new film, Defining Moments, is such a wonderfully hopeful and it's just a beautiful film. And you got to work with Burt Reynolds, and he's in the film. And I knew Burt. He had a home here in Utah, and was really one of the nicest men I have ever met. I mean, we became friends, for years. But he never wanted to talk about acting. He loved talking about cars. He loved talking about the ballet, anything but what he did for a living. Yeah,
he was lovely. Actually got to work with Burt when I was 20, believe it or not. Yeah, and just like a one day I worked with him, but it was really funny because when we re-met, I guess he was told that, or he couldn't possibly have remembered that. But he was like, oh, he said something funny, and I wish I could remember, because he's so funny. Like, feels like he doesn't have to try at all, just have that perfect timing and sense of humor. I just enjoyed him so much. But he was sort of like, oh, you've changed a lot, since the last 2 decades we haven't seen each other.
And he does such a great job in this film. I mean, he really, for his last movie, went out with a really good role.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so. Yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure and an honor to work with him on this and play his daughter. And we had a really good relationship, and we would have dinner together and stuff. And it was just so nice. He was such a gentleman. And yeah, he didn't really, he wasn't one of these actors who needed to talk about himself, He wanted to know what I was doing, and I was like, oh my God, it's so boring what I'm doing. Why do you want to know? I like, at that point, I was changing diapers. You want to talk,
Pasta sandwiches.
Yeah, and eating pasta. But he just was, he's very generous and helpful, honestly, and his timing was the thing that I've worked with a lot of actors over the years and a lot of comedians, and there is something innate in people like Leslie Nielsen, obviously, and other people just have this sense of timing, and it's just natural. Like, I don't think you can learn this, I think it's just, and Burt was just so amazing, and it was so unique to him, so you never know when he was coming with it in a scene, and it would just be like, boom, boom. You're like, what? How did you do that? Like, how?
Yeah, I think it's always wonderful to be able to work with somebody who's always got a twinkle in their eye, and you kind of know something's coming.
Oh yeah, that is definitely Burt. For sure.
You mentioned Leslie Nielsen, but he started out as a dramatic actor and turned into comedy, and then went back into playing heavy roles. I think comedians can play the drama parts a lot easier than dramatic actors can do comedy.
I think it might have been Leslie Nielsen who said, which I always thought was brilliant, that they liked doing comedy because you can do a comedy, and if it's funny, it'll be funny 20 years later. And you can do a drama, and it will be funny 20 years later. Because they don't always age well, right?
I'm going to get t-shirts.
I hope I'm not misquoting, but I feel like that was Leslie. You'd have to verify that. But somehow it's in my head. But yeah.
Did you ever meet Leslie Nielsen? Did you work with him?
I did Men with Brooms with Leslie.
Oh, wow.
I got to work with him on Men with Brooms. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Because every time, he would carry a little fart machine with him, and
oh yes.
Every so often he'd let one go, and it was so funny because he was Leslie Nielsen.
And then he just acted like, oh yeah, and everyone was just like, poor guy. He might not know that he did that. Yeah, it was.
Tell me a little bit about your character, Marina, in Defining Moments. How did you approach that character?
I feel like she had something to heal. She needed some healing in her life to kind of get herself together, to get to that next stage of development of, and I don't mean intimacy in that way, but just like allowing herself to open up to having a real relationship, a real kind of deep connection with another person. So she needed to heal that bond with her dad. And I think there was something that, you never want to believe that somebody is going to go. You can't live your life thinking that someone's going to go, but at a certain point you go like, I really do need to spend time with someone, because somewhere deep inside we know that this might be our last time with him, and I think she kind of got swept up in the notion. It was like getting to know her father all over again as an adult, rather than just as this child version of what we think of our parent, and so that's how I kind of started it. And then she got swept up in it, and it became this lovely adventure with her dad, this new relationship, this new bond. And then at the end, of course, it's like just, well, I guess am I allowed to say that? Hold on, should I not say it? Yeah. Anyway, it's a lovely adventure with her dad.
You've worked with your director several times.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy.
I love Steven. I consider him a very good friend too now, because we've gone through some funny, lovely things. He's an amazing director, an amazing writer, frankly. He does it all. He wears many hats. I don't know how he does it all, but he does. And he keeps doing it, which is amazing. I like this kind of director who lets you go out there, and he's very interested in actors. He loves actors, I think, and he loves films, and he wants to see what you're going to do. So he casts things well, and he kind of throws you out there. He gives you the dynamics of the scene, and then he wants to see what you're going to bring up, and then he gently changes it to what he wants. But it's never like, do this, then move here, and like, you're not a robot with Steven, which I loved. So you get to be very creative, and then also feel like you're not sort of, lost at sea. I have no idea where I'm going here.
Do you have a shorthand with him now that you've worked with him so much?
I think so. I feel like sometimes, I know he knows that I know that it didn't work. I feel like it's just a look like, yeah. Let's just do it again. Don't want to hear about it. I know it didn't work. I didn't make it this time. Let's do it again.
I think acting classes also teach you how to think for yourself as an actor too, and define your character. And you did such a great job in defining moments as the daughter, because I think what you approached was you and Burt were like a father and daughter on set as well, and so he drew that out of you in your scenes.
Well, he was lovely. You know, we were staying in the same hotel, and he was just like, I'm going to have to walk. Like, I mean, Bart was not 12 at this time, and he was insistent on making sure I got to my hotel room. I mean, we're in the middle of Markham. It's a safe hotel, but he was like, you know, that's who he was, I think, as a person too.
Are you surprised at all of the wonderful things that come out of Canada? I mean, this is your country, but you, film-wise, you guys are just going nuts, and I love a lot of the stuff that comes out of it. It's weird because I'm old and all that, but I love Heartland. I think it's one of the best shows ever. You know, but the vistas that Canada offers are just gorgeous.
I think, you know, I think as a Canadian, we see a lot of Canadian productions that Americans don't see. So we know that there's this vast amount of talent. And then luckily, once in a while, someone gets, you know, taken up to Hollywood, and we go, yeah, well, we've known that, you know. Like, Ryan Gosling, like, not a shocker. He was amazing when he was younger, you know. So, Ryan Reynolds, like, these are all guys and actors that we knew of, you know. And I think that there is like still so many undiscovered people that are there, and talent and you know, from directors, writers, producers, like the whole world is very. I think the hardest part is that it's very close to American, but it's not quite American, if that makes sense. Like, it's got its own unique quality that is Canadian.
America, it's just a little different dimension there, but it's you guys aren't afraid to explore some deep stuff, and Canadian television, I think, outdoes American television because of the way they approach a drama, the way they approach comedy. Oh,
wow. I mean, it's hard for me to say, but yeah, I'm glad you think that. I love that you think that.
Because I don't know why Canadians have such a great sense of humor, you know, but I think it's because they...
I mean, it snows for 6 months of the year. That's probably why.
of all the sunshine, it doesn't turn off. When you do a production like Defining Moments, how does that change you? I mean, you know, it must have been hard on you when Burt passed.
It was very sad. Yeah, it was. It's interesting because we had a bond as professionals, and then a bond as the characters, and then just like this sort of emotional bond that you get from working with someone and playing in that kind of dynamic relationship. And again, I actually, he was important to me as a young person as well, just because I had that experience, and he was really lovely to me on set when I was 20 and just starting out. And here's this like super legend guy, you know, giving me words of wisdom about my career. And so he has a big place in my heart even before I got to do this movie. And then it was, you know, bigger obviously because I love him. And so yeah, when he passed, it was just such a weird time. I don't know, it was all the things happening in the world, and then I'm like, what, really? You know, and they can't really, like, there's nothing. Yeah, it was hard. It was sad.
Friendships continue even after somebody passes, and so you'll always have great memories, you know, so that's something.
Yeah, it's just like, it's sort of weird to watch the film, you know, like.
I know. Yeah. It's a bittersweetness to it.
Yeah.
As a single mom, I want to make sure my kids have healthy teeth. Going to the dentist can be expensive. Just a simple cleaning can cost over $100. Then I found TDA. And for about $1 a day, Total Dental Administrators covers my family on over 200 dental procedures. Whether you're an individual, a family, self-employed, or retired, your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these policies. Call or click for your free information kit and see how affordable dental health can be.
Polly, it has been an absolute joy and a pleasure to chat with you and get to know you a little bit. And again, we're all looking forward to watching Defining Moments. That's coming out, and then your next one and your next one. And I will fly to wherever you are when you're doing a live show again, and I'll sit third row center just to cheer you on.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. Thank you.